such a letdown because it was so good. And then it was so bad. Almost half of the book being like, say psych. Say psych, Emily. Say psych. Cat Sebastian, let me get on my soapbox once again. What were we trying to do? Hi, everyone. I'm so sad to make this video. We're going to be tier ranking all of my highly anticipated releases for 2024. It's the end of the year. We're wrapping it up. And as you guys might know, if you're like not new to this channel, this wasn't the best year, sadly. I feel like a lot of authors are being pushed to publish too quickly. Maybe they're being pushed to publish in certain genres or to check certain boxes that don't just come naturally to them. A lot of theories. Whatever it is, the result is I'm not feeling a lot of the new releases. We're gonna have, there's some high points, but I feel like normally when I tier rank things, it's either pretty equal or it skews positive, but I have a feeling this video will skew a little negative. I'm also a tiny bit sick. I know you're tired of hearing me say it. I'm filming all of these videos in like a week. So in like honestly a weekend. So it feels like I've been sick the entire month. It's been 3 days, baby. I'll be okay. But I feel it. So I feel like you can notice I'm crabby. I'm not usually sick. So you're gonna get, I might be a little more critical than I usually am, which I'm usually too nice to books. So maybe we'll get closer to the truth in this video. Also, I don't know why I decided to start filming right now because the sun is inches above the horizon. It is setting and we're going to be in darkness soon. So if I leave and suddenly turn on some lights, I just want to talk to you guys and I want to talk to you guys now. So here I am. Welcome to this video. Let me look at my list. You know what? I'm being so picky, negative. I have some great ones to talk about. I have a couple new favorite authors. I have favorite authors that have come back from a decade of silence and given me some food. I feel like the misses just missed hard and that's why I'm angry, but I'm very excited. The reason that these are all highly anticipated is because almost all of them are from authors that I have loved their work prior. So these will be all familiar faces to you, most likely. And I'm excited to share. But speaking of favorite authors, I need to tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is Masterclass. I've mentioned them before, but Masterclass is a platform that has classes taught by the most brilliant minds in whatever field that is. So famously, I bought my dad a Masterclass subscription years ago because they have a whole section on space exploration and astronauts will teach you how to be an astronaut. And that was like, right up my dad's alley. But for me, I'm more interested in their writing section. Please just go a quick scroll through the classes in the writing section. It will convince you you don't need to listen to me talk anymore. The classes you can take, it can be about starting poetry. How do you even find inspiration? It could be world building and how to choose a POV to speak in. Voices like Margaret Atwood. N.K. Jemisin teaches you how to world build. Amy Tan, Billy Collins, R.L. Stein, Salman Rushdie, Joyce Carol Oates, Dan Brown. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And because all of the classes are just up there ready for you, you can learn at your own speed. So if you've only got 10 minutes for N.K. Jemisin to teach you which character POV hits the hardest, give her 10 minutes. Okay? If you only got 5 minutes, give her 5, you know? Absolutely incredible. And again, the writing section is just one tiny part. I have a QR code and I will have a link in the description box for 15% off on Masterclass. It's usually $10 a month billed annually. Please go check it out. Again, it's also really great for birthdays, holidays, etc. for people who you just don't know what to buy for. Masterclass. Thank you so much. Honestly, N.K. Jemisin sold it for me. Again, all of that information will be down below. Let's jump in to the list. Let me set up my screen recording. Okay, let me take a sip. Hold on. Mentally preparing. All right. Starting with our categories. At the tippy top, give me 14 of them. Delicious. all right? Exceeded expectations, okay? Next up is, well, yes. It did the job. It didn't blow me out of the water, but I thought it was great, okay? In the middle is just what I ordered. Wasn't bad, wasn't good, just hit right. It was exactly what I expected. I couldn't really ask much more of it, but mid. Next is a letdown. Unfortunately, this is going to be a category with quite a few. And the final one is saved for the heartbroken, for the betrayals. As I look at the list, I see more than one, sadly. So let's go through this while we still maybe have some sunlight. And how should we start? How should we start? Let's start with the very first book that I read this year. How about that? That makes it a little bit easier. We're going to start with Alex E. Harrow's The Starling House. So my background with Alex E. Harrow was I read 10,000 Doors of January long ago. That was my first book of hers. I read it on an airplane and I remember liking it, but it didn't blow me away. I believe I tried to read Once and Future Witches and it just didn't hit for me. So I was going into this with middle of the road expectations. Appreciate her storytelling ability and her writing style, but the actual story itself hadn't knocked me off my feet yet until Starling House. I will put it in, well, yes. I really liked this. Again, this is going to be a nuanced list because it's all about all of these books carried a different weight in terms of my expectations for them. So some of them might not have been a better book, but they'll rank higher because my expectations were kind of like, I wasn't expecting much and they did more, you know? So this is, we're not all starting at the same starting line. That's my disclaimer here. Starling House. Well, yes, I really liked this. I loved the setting. This is about it is a modern day, I wouldn't say urban fantasy, but takes place in like coal country, Kentucky, in this town where, because coal is no longer a booming industry, it's kind of a ghost town. It's where dreams go to die. And there is this one house that seems to keep calling to our main girl. And when one day she walks by and the gate is open, she walks in, and it's this kind of sentient house, gothic, fun, I wouldn't say fun, just really intriguing little story. My only issue is that the romance is a tad too vague for me. It's very much like on the periphery, where I would have loved to actually see a little more romance in this book, which you will find that that's not the case in quite a few of these books. But in this one, I would have loved to see more interaction. I feel like our main character had more interactions with the sentient house than she did with the actual human in the house. But overall, I loved it. And it was the first book. Ooh, we're getting it's finally coming out from behind the clouds. It's been snowing all day. It was the first book I read this year, and I considered it a 5-star as a person who doesn't give star reviews. So The Starling House, well, yes. Then let's do one that I read really recently, because I don't know where I want to put this. This one, I feel like I need a category in between well, yes, and what I ordered. The Wild Huntress. I'm going to put it in what I ordered. I know that this came out really recently, so I understand why quite a few people haven't read it yet, but I really need to talk to somebody about it because this was a delicious fairy tale. I loved my first experience with Emily Lloyd-Jones was The Bone Houses, which I really loved. The Drowned Woods was okay. And so The Wild Huntress, I was going in worried because I hadn't loved the previous book. And this was such a surprise. It's a standalone Welsh folklore inspired fairy tale. And I love her writing style. And something happens. I can't talk about it that much because something occurs in the plot where I just kept reading it like there's no way that just happened. There's like she's gonna say psych. Like I spent almost half of the book being like say psych, Emily, say psych. So I ended up not liking the ending, but appreciating what she did. Like she took a risk. I don't think it paid off, but at least she did something. Like I wasn't bored. I keep thinking about the book and I thought most of it was very beautiful. So it was what I ordered, but was it what I wanted? I'm not sure. The Wild Huntress, please, please, please read it. Tell me your thoughts. Let's go for a book I can't believe came out this year. It feels like I have lived so many lives since I have read this book. The Prisoner's Throne goes in well, yes. The Prisoner's Throne was the second book in the Stolen Heir duology, which is basically a continuation of The Cruel Prince. The Prisoner's Throne was quite different than what I expected. We had quite a bit of POV change. I feel like the first book was very much in one character's POV. The Prisoner's Throne was very much in the other character's POV. And I kind of missed our other character. But at the end of the day, I think that this completed the duology really well. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed rereading The Stolen Heir and like reading the duology as a whole. I don't know, like standing on its own as a book. Well, yes, I mean, it was Holly Black. She delivered a Holly Black book, and I'm putting it above what I ordered because I'm pretty sure I cried. The Prisoner's Throne. And yes, if you are a Cruel Prince fan and you were kind of like unsure about The Stolen Heir, we do see your favorite characters. If you're a Cruel Prince fan, your favorite characters, they're in The Prisoner's Throne quite a bit. Let's talk about some not fun things. Let's get a bad one. An Education in Malice, I'm going for you. I'm going to put it in a letdown because this book, let me read to you what this is supposed to be about. Let me grab it. And tell me this doesn't sound like the perfect book, okay? This is my problem with S.T. Gibson, is that all of their books sound right up my alley and then they just fall apart. So, deep in the forgotten hills of Massachusetts stands St. Perpetua's College. Isolated and ancient, it is not a place for timid girls. Here, secrets are currency, ambition is lifeblood, and strange ceremonies welcome students into the fold. It is sapphic. It's about two poetry students fighting it out. Academic rivals to lovers. What's not to love? The last half of this book, the first 30% of this book was so good. And then it just literally lost the plot. Like, what happened? I don't know. I will say it was so visual. I was there. I can still see scenes in my head, especially running through the tunnels because my college was haunted and had hidden tunnels. So I was like, yeah, been there, done that. But could I tell you what happened in the end? Could I tell you that I cared? No, unfortunately. Such a letdown because it was so good. And then it was so bad. I'm sorry if the sun was not supposed to come out. You're supposed to be gone by now, my friend. What are you doing up there? Anyway, another similar letdown, just as an example for S.T. Gibson, is Evocation, also putting it in a letdown. It's another case of should have been right up my alley, was such a wonderful concept and just kind of fumbled not as hard as Education in Malice. I will say that. Evocation is about, it takes place present day. We're in Boston. There's a secret society of, is it necromancy or just alchemy? Just like a secret society of magicians in general. And there's a lot of kind of political intrigue like within the secret society. But also we have this romance. In this book, S.T. Gibson was exploring polyamory and it just became so much about the relationship instead of about the really cool magic system that she had just set up that I was bummed. I feel like she did a good job. They did an incredible job creating this secret society and this whole part of the plot. Also an incredible job with the relationship, but they never kind of meshed. We had one and not the other at all times. And that was a real bummer because I loved both things. So that one was a letdown, but again, not as rough as The Fall for An Education in Malice. One book that did do cool magic system and romance balanced really well is the Invocations. I'm going to put them in, well, yes, but close to give me 14 of them. I would say, give me like a baker's dozen of these. The Invocations is about girls being nasty, decaying, falling in love, hunting a killer, being badass. 3 girls, for various reasons, join together. There is someone who is killing women with powers or women who have received some kind of curse. These are women who are usually seeking magic because of dangerous situations, whether it's domestic abuse or things like that. And this guy is hunting those women down and killing them. And our 3 girls in London are like, nope, not gonna happen. I loved this. It was multiple POV, but it's one of those rare cases where I loved every single POV and I thought each POV was equally strong. I thought the relationships were wholesome, hilarious, just impeccable. Really, really enjoyed this. I liked House of Hollow, but I liked this more. So if you read House of Hollow and you were kind of like, give Invocations a try. This was like a sleeper hit for me. I read it and I was like, wow, that was really good. And the more that I think about it, the more that I really love it. So the Invocations, well, yes, almost give me 14. So close. Let me go for a controversial one right in the center. I'm going to put Emily Henry in what I ordered. Funny Story didn't really do much for me. Funny Story was just kind of there, if I'm going to be honest. I liked it. This was one of the rare cases where I felt zero attraction to the male romantic lead. Usually there's something that I'm like, ooh, yeah, I get it, girl. But this one I was sort of like, good for you. I'm glad you found someone you like. Yeah, Funny Story. It was fun. It made me want to visit Michigan. Emily Henry is really, her and Abby Jimenez are really like, get the Mitten State on the map, you know? So it was fine, but that's all it was for me personally. Yeah. A romance that was not mid, a romance that was, give me 14 of them. Cat Sebastian? You could be so lucky. Tell me why I'm crying over a baseball romance. Okay, Cat Sebastian, let me get on my soapbox once again. Cat Sebastian is doing fantastic things because she is writing historical queer romances, and we don't see a lot of that. She is not only writing romances in time periods where we typically don't get to see that, but she's also adding in so much historical context that I didn't really know. So talking about just the certain ways that a queer person has to move around a city in the 60s, and especially if they are in the public eye, and like what resources are available to them. What was the queer community like in New York City in the 60s, for example? It's just kind of shedding light on a piece of a time period that we don't get to hear about that much in such a funny way. It is so, her characters are so endearing. They feel real, but they're also just like unbelievably witty and funny. I loved it. So even if you don't love baseball, let me tell you, this is about a journalist who is tasked with helping this baseball player ghost write a weekly column in order to help, kind of like a PR stunt, because the baseball player is a new recruit and he's supposed to be like the best, right? He was rookie of the year. Ever since moving, he's been in a slump. And so the entire city hates him. And so this journalist has to team up with this dude. The journalist doesn't give a shit about baseball. They hit it off and it just becomes beautiful is what it becomes. You should be so lucky. Highly recommend. No baseball knowledge required. A star of the year. Where should I go? Let's do another historical romance. Would be Crane Among Wolves. I'm gonna put that in what I ordered. This is a young adult historical fiction that concerns a very interesting part of Korean history. There was one, they've got like a list of pretty kooky royals, but there was one particular royal who was unbelievably cruel. Like when you read the stuff that he did, to the point where I'm pretty sure his own father killed him or tried to. I mean, he would, like, I would get demonetized if I talked about what he did, okay? And this follows a girl who is saving her sister from his clutches. And I really enjoyed it because I live in Seoul. So, this was taking place in Seoul. And so, like when she's traveling into the city to sneak into the palace, she's like, I stopped in this quaint little village called Jamsil, which now has been absorbed into the city of Seoul. And it's like it's where we have like the big Lotte Tower. Like it's a huge metropolitan area. And she's like, I just stopped in this quaint little town called Jamsil. So it was just a really fun way to learn about history. I wasn't over the moon about it. The characters weren't incredible. But I did learn a lot and I had a good time, and I think that it was engaging and interesting the whole way through. It just wasn't like top tier. You know, it's exactly what it said it was going to be. A crane among wolves. Another one that's pretty dark, that I will put in Well Yes, Where Sleeping Girls Lie. This is by the same author as Ace of Spades, which I liked. So I was pretty pumped for this one. This was a case of high expectations. Those expectations were met and exceeded. I think that this is better than Ace of Spades. That's a bold claim. I think this was better than Ace of Spades. This follows a girl who's attending a boarding school. She's been homeschooled her whole life, but she has finally convinced her dad to let her go to this super yuppie boarding school. Okay, this is like Gossip Girl level hoity-toity, okay? She has a surprisingly good first day at school. All things considered, she makes friends. She likes her roommate. Until the next day when her roommate goes missing and she's the last person to have seen her. And so she is desperately trying to find her roommate to help with this missing persons investigation, but she is brand new to the school. She doesn't know any of these like kind of social cues, and most of these kids have known each other since they were 5 years old. So understanding all of these dynamics and things like that, we explore the school with her in that way, and I thought it was so well done. I really liked it. So, Well Yes, Where Sleeping Girls Lie. Another dark book. Ooh, I don't know where to put you. Oh, she's so close to Well Yes. Should I just move her up? Okay. A Study in Drowning. I'm gonna put it in what I ordered. A Study in Drowning. What did I go into it with? I have not liked Ava Reid's previous work. So I went in without the highest expectations. However, this book seemed like on paper, it was written for me. It's dark academia. It is about writers, I believe. Oh, it's not about, it's about architects. That's right. But it's about this girl's favorite author is trying to like rebuild his house or something like that. And so there's kind of this academic rivals of these two architects fighting it out. Anyway, should have been excellent. And I do think the writing in this was really lovely. I think that the way that she kept the kind of sticky, salty, damp, nautical imagery throughout the whole book just made this so immersive, so atmospheric. However, there were lots of bits of the plot that I didn't love, and the more that I thought about it, the more that I was kind of let down. But in the moment, honestly, reading it, I'm pretty sure I read this in like January or February on just like a cold, gloomy winter day. I thought that the writing was gorgeous. So it was what I ordered. It did not exceed my expectations. I think it had potential to be much better, but that was A Study in Drowning. Wanted it to be better than it was, but it's what I ordered. So wanting it to be better than it was, I've got a couple of these I could talk about. Let's just, speaking of dark academia, let's just do it. Bite the bullet. Dark and Drowning Tide. Heartbroken. This was the final nail in the Allison Saft coffin. I'm gonna say it. I liked A Far Wilder Magic. I also enjoyed A Darkness Comes to Call. The rage I feel about A Fragile Enchantment, off the charts. Hated that book. Who let her publish that is my question. Who forced her to publish that? I don't know. A Dark and Drowning Tide, I went in with such high hopes. And I liked the first probably 30 to 40% of the book, basically where we're setting up everything. We are following, again, it's academic rivals to lovers. We're following these two students who are sent on this kind of magical mission to find the source of magic in this world and bring it back to their king. And pretty much the first night of the mission, their advisor is killed. Everything up until that point, up until the death of their advisor, which is just like the world building, the setup, loved. The second the advisor is killed and it's like, okay, now the plot needs to plot, do it. We got a murder mystery we got to solve. Fell to pieces. It was not a fun time whatsoever. And you know what's weird? The issue I had with A Fragile Enchantment is it was kind of romanticizing colonization. A Fragile Enchantment was meant to be a kind of British lord and a Irish peasant romance. But like fantastical, like not, they weren't actually England and Ireland. They were like a fantasy version. You get what I'm saying. Didn't enjoy reading that. And this book ends in a similar way, where it's like, listen, colonization isn't great, but like what's done is done, and it would just be more chaotic if we tried to change it. So, weird that it happened twice, Allison. I don't know. This was really a bummer because I was so looking forward to this. And I think I've still got some that I can say nice things about. So let's go This Ravenous Fate. Staying in this kind of dark sapphic vibe. Well, yes, this was a book that I've been waiting for since the author kind of teased it on Instagram, where she mentioned, I'm pretty sure that she finally got an agent and she like let us know a little bit about the plot. This Ravenous Fate. Sapphic vampires. New York City during the Harlem Renaissance. Ex-best friends have to team up to solve a string of murders. My only issue is that the plot was not super strong. Like, I liked this more than I thought I would. That's not saying it's a perfect book. I think that my expectations were just like, this is a super exciting debut and the plot sounds great. Other than that, like going into it, pretty neutral. I really liked the characters. I found especially the romance. I was really rooting for them. So I very much enjoyed the ride. I will eat anything up that takes place in New York City. Specifically that time period, she really captured this kind of like speakeasy. There's constantly like jazz and everyone's wearing pearls and shiny shimmery things. Ambiance, 100%. Plot? What were we trying to do? I can't answer that. There were also just a couple editing issues. I really think that this was an issue that we're seeing in a lot of books these days where it wasn't edited well. There are a lot of things that I feel like an editor could have caught, such as the characters kind of leave and enter scenes very sporadically, and like a character has exited the room and then all of a sudden they're still there. There were just a lot of like continuity issues that, again, I think just like another set of eyes could have noticed. So, well, yes, this exceeded my expectations. I'm very excited for the second book. I think that this was a strong debut and the second book will only be stronger. And I think the second book will have a bit more direction. I think maybe that was the issue with This Ravenous Fate, is that there was so much going on that now we can focus. Now we can solve the mystery that I'm not quite sure I know what the mystery is. This Ravenous Fate. This is what I mean when I say this list has some nuance to it. Let me see. None of these are debuts. How do I segue? How about an author that hasn't been around for 10 years? Miranda July, where you been, girl? She's been busy. I know. I'm not blaming you. All Fours. Well, yes, but close to what I ordered. I think this was very quintessential Miranda July. I wasn't blown away by it, but it's exactly what I wanted, you know? If you've read Miranda July, she has a very recognizable voice. Oh my God, my entire leg is asleep. I was sitting on it, guys. I just moved. Hold on. I'm having a crisis. Circulation, blood, please go back into my leg. all this talk about vampires. I'm like, okay, we're back. Sorry. Yeah, Miranda July has a very recognizable, very unique voice. She came back with that voice, but I think it just felt so much stronger. I'm used to her short stories. I wasn't sure if her voice could actually make a full novel, but she held her own and I enjoyed it. So yeah, well, yes. Wasn't, like I said, wasn't groundbreaking. It was certainly what I ordered, but I thought it was a wonderful return to writing, and we're glad that you're back, Miranda. A return. See how I segue these? Sabaa Tahir ruined my year. Heir. Give me 14 of them. I'm so mad at myself because I got the arc of this and I read it before it even came out, which means that I have to wait more than a year for the next book. I signed up for this pain. I know I shouldn't complain, but I am still so impatient. Sabaa Tahir, loved the Ember in the Ashes series. That was probably like the third fantasy series I read while coming back to reading after I took my very long break of being a overworked college student. So I love her for that. I love her for that. And Heir is very much a continuation of Ember in the Ashes. The way it was marketed made it sound like it was just within the world, but it is absolutely a continuation. Like probably 5 of the side, but basically main characters are the main characters in the Ember in the Ashes. So you really need to know it. And she kind of skips a lot of world building because we learned it in Ember in the Ashes. So please read Ember if you haven't already in order to read Heir. I really liked it. I forgot how much I loved Sabaa Tahir. I forgot how much I loved the world that she created. I feel like I have been let down by a lot of fantasy, especially authors that are trying to like continue their worlds. She did it. It is fresh, but it is a continuation. It's thank you for writing this. Thank you so much. However, speaking of an author that was one of my first introductions back into fantasy, Leigh Bardugo and The Familiar. I'm gonna put it in what I ordered. I feel like, I think I said this in my review of it, my initial review. If The Familiar hadn't been written by Leigh Bardugo, I would have rated it higher. But because of my high expectations for Leigh Bardugo, it fell a bit flat. So technically, it delivered on what it was told to me to be. It feels closer to a letdown, which hurts me. I think if I were to reread it, I might like it a little bit more. But unfortunately, this was not what I thought it was going to be. Also, perhaps it was like a marketing issue. There is a romance in here that is all happening off the page, which is my least favorite thing in the world. But I did think that the historical elements to it and this kind of quiet, dark magic, she just really captured that atmosphere. Like I felt like I was looking at a painting of that era. Like something about it felt so, she just caught this moment really well, but it didn't deliver on the things that I was hoping for. So the romance or even this kind of magical trial didn't quite make sense. So I think she hit really well on some things, missed on the things that I was kind of hoping for. But again, if I had picked this up and it was like an author I'd never heard of, I would think like, oh, that was interesting. But for Leigh, let's go for some positive ones because we still have some good ones left. Map of the Otherlands. Well, yes, that one was what I ordered and sprinkled a little bit extra on top. I really liked Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I think that Map of the Otherlands was more fun. I think that the pacing of Encyclopedia was a little odd. I think it had like a false end and like the story just kept going after I thought it was supposed to be over. Map of the Otherlands, I think she paced it well. There were more characters that were present. There was more of Wendell. It was just a goofier, funnier time and I really enjoyed it. So that was like a pleasant surprise. Sometimes sequels can be very, but this was wonderful. So thank you so much. One that I'm hoping has a better sequel. Okay, that's how I'm going to talk about it. I didn't know when. I'm putting The Tempest of Tea in Heartbroken because this book should have been my favorite book of the year. I really enjoyed Hafsa previous duology, We Hunt the Flame, We Free the Stars. We Free the Stars, I finished it at 3 a.m. and I was just like delirious and sobbing. I was jet lagged, a mess. Loved it. Okay? So when she says, I'm going to write a book about a vampire gang that has to have some kind of heist, and they have a secret tea parlor, and it's also kind of King Arthur-y, Peaky Blinders. She opened my skull, I swear to God, and took out what I wanted a book to be written about. It should have been so good, and it was so not. It was really a bummer. I could feel that there were lines that were written so that they could be pulled out and like used for marketing, like the heavy reliance on tropes. Like there had to be a knife to the throat moment. There had, it felt almost insincere in that way. Like the tropes were standing out so starkly that it felt like it was written not as a story itself, but more as kind of like fan service, or like there were boxes to be ticked. And it was very sad. That was an incredible bummer. I will read the second one because her second book in her previous duology was by far the stronger work. So sometimes maybe she just has to kind of fumble the first one to make a great second one. I don't know. Heartbroken, to say the least. A Tempest of Tea. Ugh, such a bummer. What did I order? I ordered the 13th Child. It was fine. So funny looking back. I did a live reading reaction of some of my highly anticipated books, and I read this one first and I was like, oh my God, you guys, I'm sorry. I started this video off on such a dud and I was talking about how bad this book was, and then I read two books that were worse. So bad. So in hindsight, the 13th Child is fine. I think that it was well written. It just didn't bring to the table what I wanted it to. It also just in terms of pacing and action, it felt very flat. The whole book was very much at the same level. I will say the epilogue was impeccable. The epilogue saved this for me. If it had ended differently, I could completely forget the plot. Also, somebody asked what happened to her dog. Erin A. Craig, what happened to the dog? I don't know what happened. Could you, if you're watching this, if anybody who knows Erin is watching this, what happened to the dog, Erin? Okay. If it had ended differently, I would have forgotten everything about it. But I think the ending was gorgeous. So if you're interested in a retelling of Godfather Death, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as strong as I wanted. It was pretty much just a book that I read, and the ending made me cry. So there it is. Bride. Bride. I don't know. I feel like I want to put it again in between the well yes and what I ordered. I'll put in well yes. She made a jump to fantasy. It was funny. It was a fun time. I loved the marketing of it, the amount of people talking about nodding. It was a jolly good time. What can I say? I literally can't say anymore. Are they making a sequel? Did I just not pay attention very well to the ending? What more is there? But anyway, Bride, well, yes, Allie does it again. Here we are. Sally Rooney, does she do it again? Well, yes, but almost give me 14 of them. Ooh. Am I going to put Sally Rooney right next to Bride? Am I going to put Intermezzo right next to Bride on this? I have to speak my truth. Yeah, it's in the well, yes. I don't think that this is going to be my favorite book of the year, but should I move it up? Damn, Sally. It is so close to being in Give Me 14 of them. No, I got to speak my truth. It is at the top of the well, yes list. I won't say that it was one of my favorite books, but with Sally Rooney, as I mentioned, going into this book, 50-50, loved one of her books, hated one of her books. This one, loved, adored, already want to reread it. And I read it last month. I truly loved this. I just can't say that it blew me away. Oh, The words coming out of my mouth make it sure sound like it blew me away. What? Damn it. Fine. Give me 14 of them. But I don't want 14 of them. I want just this one. I just want intermezzo because she hit it. Yeah? Okay. Just know that I struggled with that one. But it's a great book. Exceeded my expectations. I just can't quite tell you how far those expectations were exceeded. Okay? A Sorceress Comes to Call. Well, yes, I would say didn't blow me away for a like Kingfisher, but solid fairy tale retelling. Enjoyed thoroughly. Lovable characters, feel good, wholesome, almost cozy, but also gruesome. There's death, but I loved it. A Sorceress Comes to Call. And now for my final piece, I need to pause because I need to sneeze. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Post sneeze, our final highly anticipated read. I could make 100 videos about this. I'm so pissed off about this book. The Courting of Bristol Keats. Let me move again. My foot is falling asleep. Hold on. Needless to say, The Courting of Bristol Keats goes in heartbroken. What happened? This is by the author of The Kiss of Deception trilogy, The Dance of Thieves duology. That's young adult. This is her first adult work. This is more fairy side of fantasy. Her previous work, The Magic System, had a lot of, if I'm remembering it correctly, there was kind of like a god system. There was like a whole more religious kind of cultural aspect. This is just like fae and mortals. And that's it. Okay. The cover's gorgeous. The very vague back of the book made me think I was really going to like it, and I did not. I liked the first few chapters because I do love a story about mortals falling into the fae world, or like having to accomplish a goal and having to jump into the fae realm. Love stories like that. Things just didn't work in this story. I read another review because I was looking through Goodreads because I just could not believe what I had read. And one review pointed out that this is a 500-page book, by the way. This is a dual, it's not a standalone, okay? 500 pages for the first book. And this one reviewer mentioned that like we spent the last 250 pages watching our main character named Bristol learn all the shit that we learned in the first 250 pages, which is so true. Like, we get told her whole background through flashbacks and different POVs, and then the second half of the book is like her figuring it out. So any like aha moment or twist or anything, we are just sitting here like, I understand dramatic irony. This was not it. It was just so boring, and it made Bristol look stupid that she couldn't put anything together. She's supposed to be this like super smart, she's the middle child, but she like carries this family on her back. She's so resourceful, she's so intelligent, and she is not in this book. There's also this whole urgency of like, we need to find somebody with this power so that we can stop this horrible thing from happening. We're running out of time. And then they just lollygag. Like, the whole story, they're supposed to be training to find this mysterious portal. And like, they don't. Like, they train, but not really. And they never go searching for this portal. The romance is weird as hell. Most of it is off the page. The amount of POV switching it's inconsistent and doesn't make sense. Like, there's literally a point where usually it's supposed to be just like Bristol's POV and then the main male romantic lead, his POV, right? That makes sense. But randomly you will have the barn, like a building POV, like the barn watched as Bristol walked closer for like a paragraph. And it's just like, why did we need to see through the barn's eyes? What did that accomplish? And the real kicker is the ending. I was so done with this book that like I didn't even realize how weird this ending is. We literally end the book, and this is not a spoiler. The world is supposedly falling apart, right? We have 3 months. We're running out of time. We got to go like steal people from the mortal realm to save Fairy. Instead of like any kind of cliffhanger ending you could have given us, she ends the book with a steamy scene And the final words are like, the guards heard the king scream. And one of the guards goes, "No, I don't think he needs our help." End scene. We end on an orgasm. The world is falling apart, Bristol. Your parents are missing. You're gonna leave your sisters orphaned. The evil fairies are gonna take over. Like, this book was truly so bad. I just can't believe what I read. I really can't believe what I read. And that was the book that inspired me to even make this video. Like, it got me thinking about my anticipated reads. And I think the ones that came at the end of the year were the ones that were the worst. All the ones that are ranked high are ones that I read quite early in the year. So it was just kind of like dud after dud after dud for me, unfortunately, at the end of the year, which is strange because I find that the autumnal releases tend to be the ones I look forward to the most. So that's that. That's my list. As you can see though, I think I was just so let down by Bristol Keats that it kind of put a damper on the whole year. But as you can see, a lot of positives, a lot of good ones, ones that delivered what I asked for. And hopefully, you know, there's always next year. So that's that. That's my ranking. Please let me know what you think. Where do yours lie? What was your best and worst in terms of the books that you were looking forward to this year? Looking forward to 2025. There are so many. Oh, the finale, I hope, to the Little Thieves trilogy is coming out in February or April, I think, this year. Lots of things coming out, like things to look forward to. The future is always bright. So yeah, that's my ranking. And the sun is fully gone now. Ouch, that was my leg. So I am gonna let you go. I'm gonna refill my tea, gonna blow my nose. And I'll see you guys next time. I actually think that I might see you guys next year. This might be my last video of the year. And just thank you as always. If I had to bottle up these feelings and not share them with people, I think I would explode. I think I would give up on reading, honestly. Like, some of these just made me so mad. So being able to express it with you guys, hearing you guys understand me, feeling what I'm feeling really helps. It brings me so much joy. The anger turns into joy when I talk to you guys. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a really wonderful new year. Once again, thank you to Masterclass for sponsoring this. I'll have a link and then this QR code for you. So definitely check it out. Masterclass is really wonderful. Maybe you will write my next highly anticipated read with the help of all the authors on Masterclass. And I will put you in, give me 14 of them. Okay? Yeah, I'm gonna log off. I've been talking too much today. I filmed another video today, so my voice is zapped. But as always, happy to chat with you. So yes, I am, maybe I can stop screen recording. Let me know what kind of videos you're interested in seeing in the new year. What are you looking forward to in 2025? Give me some hope. Give me some hope. I'll see you. Okay? Cheers. Bye.